Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today's just going to be a couple of handsome guys having a quick chat, getting ready for the weekend. Working Perspectives Podcast, Weekend Pop-Ins. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied as always by my editor and producer, Tom Byers. Shake, how you doing, bud? You ready to do this?
I'm doing well, and I'm ready to roll, my friend.
Beautiful. All right, let's get this pop-in started. Ready? Let's go. All right, Shake, diggity dog. Let's chat. All right, we got a big month. This is Working Perspectives Podcast version of March Madness. All right?
Yeah.
But it's instead of madness, it's just March Mad. All right?
Yep.
Because you're going to get mad at the March that we have for you.
Yeah.
All right?
A bunch of people are going to take off work and get hammered during the day just to listen to these podcasts.
Yep. Bars are going to be packed. People are going to be going nuts. And they're going to want to know why we booked the same person and had him split his 2 interviews into 4 weeks of fun. All right. Mm-hmm. So we have coming up this week, we are debuting part 1 of the 4-part extravaganza, which is the Alex Lavelle experience. So we have my younger brother, Alex, on the show, and we had a lot of history with him. So we had to take his stuff. We had to break it up into 2 episodes, which ends up being 4 episodes. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun content. But yeah, it's a month of Alex, and I'll tell you, I've spent 30-something years with him. A month is gonna be tough for everybody. You know, sorry to do this to you.
Yeah, these people are getting a deal. They only have them for a month. So
yeah, they got the monthly subscription.
Yeah,
1 month of Alex.
Matt, without giving too much away, what do the people need to know about Alex getting into this? You know, that might give them a little background.
Well, let's just say he lives in Chicago. Chicago.
Yeah.
With Julie Pepperwood from Chicago. But he lives in Chicago. He's a theater. He was a theater director. He's a member of the United States Army Reserves. He's my younger brother. We have an older brother, Asshole, that we'll talk about on the show. Him and Shake were actually coming up. We're best buds because they were the same age growing up in our neighborhood. So they were hanging out all the time.
Yes.
We have a ton of good stories, some tear-jerking stories, some emotional stuff, some funny stuff.
This one really hits the highs and lows, Matt. That's for sure. We really touch on all the emotions there.
You're right though. We've always prided ourselves on this podcast of adopting. We want the entertainment kind of like mantra of being like ice cream, right? Mm-hmm. Where there's not just, you don't have to just like one flavor of ice cream. There's not just one. We want, as far as entertaining people, we want every emotion. We want everything we can do to entertain. If it's happy, fun, sad, silly, dumb, whatever it is, we want to be able to do it all.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, we show a little bit of some range here with Alex. But yeah, it's fun. It's good stuff. A lot of laughs, and it'll be fun. And it's like a deep dive too.
Yeah, and I think that like an ongoing theme of this show really will be just exposing our listeners to the epic history of like the Lavelle household and you and your siblings and your whole family environment, because you guys have such an incredible story. And when we talk about it, I feel like we're like talking about the Rolling Stones back in the 70s or something. Like there's so many great stories. Some of them are awesome. Some of them are not awesome. Some of them are, just fantastic. Some are maybe not appropriate. And a lot of love and a lot of hate and a lot of everything in between. And it's just fun to bring these up,
Yeah. I know that also on I think it's the second half, so parts 3 and 4, we also get a visit or a story about Xander, which is Alex's alter ego. Yes. So you got some Xander in there, you know what I mean? And it's just like, and also I will say this, and I do say it when we record the show, but the previous record holder on this show for most jobs was the man, the myth, the Murph Meyer. Great friend of the show, great guy. right? But the man, the myth, the Mirth Meyer got blown the hell out of the water with the amount of jobs that Alex the Kid Lavelle had.
Yeah, he lost the belt.
It was, he totally lost it. He got smoked. Alex has had more jobs than he knows what to do with. You know, so that's going to be fun. So yeah, definitely get ready for the month of Alex, 4-part series. And also let us know how you feel about the lengths of the episodes changing. When we started this, we see we have to see like what's successful, and we check out other podcasts. And one of the things that a lot of the most successful podcasts had in common is that they're 2+ hours, you know? So we went in with the notion of like, all right, we're going to try and be 2. And if we can't be 2, we're going to be 1.5 to 2+, you know? And we did that at first. And most of our episodes were over an hour and 40 minutes coming easily, in. And then now we wanted to see what it would be like to switch from the long format to kind of the half of that, with our episodes now being an hour and a half at the most. So, you know, went from they're still over an hour, still good content, but we want the listeners' opinion on what they would prefer and what they like. And if you want us to go back to long, then we'll go back to long. You know, it's I guess the size of the episode matters.
Yeah, we just have so much to jam pack in there. It's tough, man. You know. So and everyone seems to really like the guests we have on, but they also love these new segments that we're grooming. You know, we're like farmers out there with our little watering can. We're grooming up these segments. You know,
baby.
And these are becoming fan favorites. You know,
red hot in the streets.
In that spirit, maybe we can mention a little tiny bit on this newest segment that we're cooking up here for you people at home. We're not going to give too much away about it because it's still in its seedling phase. You know, we haven't watered it enough. We haven't gotten the Miracle Grow, you know, putting in the pot yet. But let's just put it this way. It's going to involve conspiracy theories. And Matt, let me ask you, how versed are you? How much do you buy into conspiracy theories? Are you the kind of guy that would believe some conspiracy theories, or you think most of them are bullshit? Where do you fall?
So I am one of those where right off the jump, I'm a skeptic, right? Where I'm like, nah, you're full of shit, you know?
Yeah.
But then if someone has some good kind of schmutz to throw at me, some good stats and some good, I listen, and sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe it'll change my mind, you know? But you can't be any Joe Schmo just coming up and saying, you know, that Marilyn Monroe was actually, you know, Susan B. Anthony. You know what I mean? Like, this is just like, you got to have some facts.
So you're open to information.
I am.
And believing stuff.
And I would love
you're just a skeptic going in. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. And I've heard people say that. I've heard people say that, like, you know, they all can't be bullshit. Some of them have to be real. You know, some of them have been proven to be real. So yeah, that'll be very interesting. I consider myself a skeptic on a lot of that. It's one of those things where you add it up, you think all of these things would have to go perfectly in order for this to be true. And I just don't, you know, I don't think that's the case with many of these. So we'll see. We have a little special someone coming in that's gonna apparently change our minds on a lot of these things. So get ready for that segment, people. It should be hitting the streets, I don't know, in a week or two. You'll be experiencing new segments. Streets. Yeah.
Yeah. On the award-winning Working Perspectives podcast.
The award-winning. This is how The Simpsons came up. The Simpsons was on what was it, the Carol Burnett show?
Tracey Ullman. Yes. Is it odd that your very first show in America was the one that spawned The Simpsons?
Yes.
So are you a creator of The Simpsons?
I breastfed the yellow people. Yes, we wanted little cartoon segments, and, you know, as bumpers on the show, and there was this blue hair and of Marge. I remember that specifically. And then I was so busy doing all these parts in the show, and then they came and said, we need somebody to record the voices, you know, and Julie, okay, I'll do it. Julie's voice, so she was Marge. And then Dan Castellaneta said, okay, I don't mind, I'll be, what do you want me to be? So he's Homer. And that was it, that very first week. And then who knew? And then I knew it was big. I think I went to Italy next summer for my holiday, and there was like Italian, like Simpsons, a bath foam, So anyway, yeah, The Simpsons started on my show.
And, well, yes, yeah.
And they were like a little teeny tiny little segment, and people loved them so much they got their own show, and now they've been on for fucking 150 years. The most famous show of all time.
That's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm fucking it up, but people out there, let us know.
I think you're probably right. I remember when I was a kid though, my dad, so when I was really young, we were in a real strict Catholic household, right? So we weren't allowed to watch certain things. So weren't allowed to watch so I remember my dad threw out a VHS copy of Wayne's World 2. We weren't allowed to watch that. And then also we weren't allowed to watch MTV, and we weren't allowed to watch The Simpsons, right? Because Bart was disrespectful to his dad.
Yes.
Supposedly.
Totally. My household as well. We were allowed to watch The Simpsons. And I think that both of our families were the same. And I think you might bring this up in one of these episodes coming up, where strictly Catholic, of course, Catholic school, go to mass kind of people, but also, a little like we just said with conspiracy theories, skeptics. I know my family wasn't we weren't allowed to watch South Park, but we were allowed to watch The Simpsons. I guess that's the line that was drawn.
Yeah.
And I remember, man, when South Park hit, my neighbor, friend of the show, John Bell, he was allowed to watch South Park.
Yeah.
So I would walk over to his porch and he would explain what happened in the episode. And that's how I got South Park. And he would just his reimagining of what the hell the episodes were. And I love South Park now, man. South Park's great.
Yeah. And it was, dude, I'll tell you what, especially when it came out, really, really, when it came out initially, it was massive, 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 massive hit. Massive hit. I'm talking back Hanky the Christmas Pooh,
Yeah.
And suck on my big salty balls, put them in your mouth. Put them in your mouth. And I think that was huge.
South Park has grown with the audience, where it started out very childish and crude, and it was perfect for us because that was our age. And then as it's gotten older, it's become this satire, this political undertone satire show, and it's fantastic, man. They
have done some things that you're this is absolutely genius. So there's two that I'm thinking of, right? One is when Big Gay Al and Paris Hilton have a slut off, right? There's that episode. And then the other one is when I think it's Stan's dad lost the record for taking the biggest shit in the world.
Yes, to Bono.
To Bono. And it's not that Bono took the biggest shit in the world. It's that Bono was the biggest piece of shit in the world.
Yeah.
And I fucking lost it. I was that kind of stuff, that's genius. That is absolute genius.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so it's Stan Marsh, right? That's
I believe.
What's the dad's name?
I don't know.
Randy Marsh. That's what it is. It's Randy Marsh. I'm gonna edit that out. So it's Randy Marsh. That's his name, Randy Marsh. He's fantastic. He's the star of the show now. I've seen some recent episodes, and he's just the best.
Oh,
man.
really?
Oh yeah, yeah. He does.
Damn. So they've transitioned the characters very well then.
Oh yeah. He when Colorado got weed legalized, which I guess is 10 years old now at this point. He has an episode where he's obsessed with buying over-the-counter marijuana, and it's fucking hilarious. I remember when Obama won the election. This was back in 2008. There's a whole episode where he goes nuts and curses off his boss because Obama's been elected.
police are here. Ooh.
which is great.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to think of some other ones, but yeah, I mean, anyway, South Park's fantastic.
Yeah. 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 Also, like bigger, longer, and uncut. One of the best. One of the best movies.
Yeah.
You know, and just like the songs in it as well. Like, what would Brian Boitano do? Blame Canada, La Resistance. Like, forget about it. Forget about it.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay. So, all right. Enough about, smoking our D's about how awesome we are in South Park and all that stuff. All right, let's get on to what's going down in Chinatown. We're coming into the weekend, right? It's going to be fun time in town. Party time's here. Let's get it popping. Let's get it going.
Hell yeah.
This is how we do it. But we need some recommendation. A little recommendation on something to do or what to have going down or something's up. What do you got, Shake Diggity, as far as a recommendation?
I'm going to go with second week in a row. I'm going to go with a TV show.
Like it, baby.
I always with these. I have a few recommendations. I have a document of recommendations now, which is my favorite thing in the world. I want to go with TV shows that are highly accessible, so they're on like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, or regular TV, and I want them to be ones that people probably have passed over. So I'm not going to like recommend the hit shows right now. Here's one that I think a lot of dudes may have missed because of they judged a book by its cover. It's on Netflix. It's called Derry Girls.
Seriously going to this concert, are you? Gig, Claire, it's called a gig. And I have to go invite me specifically.
Motherfuckers! Motherfucker, it's my new thing. Watched this film last night. My dad got it off Pirate Pauline, and it's about these two lads, and they wear these crack outfits and they rock about, just shooting people and eating cheeseburgers, and they're all motherfucker this, motherfucker that. It's got your man in it. What do you call him? The disco dancer from Look Who's Talking.
Who owns the fella?
Me. Well, come on then, Bollock. Are you introducing yourself or what?
Hi, I'm Michelle's cousin, James.
Why is he making that funny noise?
He's English, Orla. That's the way they talk. He's my Auntie Kathy's Wayne. I told you about my Auntie Kathy. She went to England years ago to have an abortion, never came back. Never got the abortion either. Lucky for you, James, eh?
I didn't actually know that.
Have you tuned into this at all? Derry Girls?
No.
Okay.
No. Do so.
This goes in perfectly with like South Park and childish humor and stuff. So Derry Girls is a show on Netflix. It's comedy. And it's just about a group of girls at like a Catholic, like a private school in Ireland. And they are kind of living like, it's almost like super bad for like Irish teenage girls. Like they're very like informal. They're very crude. They're cursing at each other. They're very, not PC kind of discussions and schemes going on between these girls. But like, it's a show that like everybody has seen on Netflix at the top of the screen. They always promote it. And like, I feel like a lot of dudes probably just pass it over because they think it's some sort of like girly show. But I'm telling you, this show is fucking hilarious. The three main girls in it are absolutely hilarious. So tune in, man. Tune in, Derry Girls. I think there's like 2 seasons.
Nice, dude, for sure. Any stick with shows because you've given me some great recommendation on shows. So what else do you have for shows? You got any more?
Well, I guess we can discuss this one now. The one that I gave you a couple weeks ago is Letterkenny.
There's a few guys walking around town claiming to be the toughest guys in Letterkenny.
I'm the toughest guy in Letterkenny.
You were the toughest guy in Letterkenny. It's been some time. Now, it's safe to assume that title is as important to you now as it was then?
It's a doc with a boner drag weeds.
10-4, good buddy. I'd be most worried if I tore my ball sack open trying to do a skateboard trick if I could see my accessory glands.
Well, you don't want to go too kooky with accessories on your truck or your Jeep. It's okay with like a quad though, like my buddy Big T's got a snorkel kit on his and that's pretty punk rock.
What's an accessory gland?
Well, if your vas deferens is your sperm ducts, the accessory glands is what supplies lubricant to the sperm duct.
I think if I ripped open my ball sack trying to do a skateboard trick, I'd be most worried about seeing my seminal vesicles.
Or like the Florida State seminal vesicles?
Like the sac that hangs behind your vas deferens that contains fructose which is energy for the sperm.
Yeah, it's like when you go in the city there and they got them charge stations for the people what drive the electric cars. That's pretty much your seminal vesicles.
I thought it was pretty funny when I said Florida State seminal vesicles, and nobody laughed.
And I think you may have discussed it
Oh.
a couple of times. Yeah, that's on
Did I?
Hulu. Yeah, I think you brought it up in an episode once because I think you said "to be fair," and that's like one of their.
To be fair.
Yeah,
To be fair.
that's one of their slogans.
Dude, yeah.
Yes.
Letterkenny, that's a Texas size 10-4 on old Letterkenny, man.
Yeah.
Say it.
Squirrely Dan.
Say it.
Yeah, that's an awesome show as well, man. And I think it's like
Awesome
becoming a hit now. People love that
Have
show.
you ever watched Trailer Park Boys?
You know, I've watched a little bit of Trailer Park Boys, and this is so funny. This is kind of fucked up. So the one Trailer Park Boy with he's got like real thick glasses. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Bubbles. Kidding me?
I was at a
Bubs.
I was at a bar once, and my buddy Tom Mallon, friend of the show, listener of the show. I think he listens on YouTube. Tom, if you're listening, fuck yourself.
Me and him just became Facebook friends, so watch it. All right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Start
We're
of something
Facebook
great.
official friends, all right, pal?
We were at a bar one time, and some random person told him he looked like that guy from Trailer Park Boys. And we looked it up on on our phones, like what the hell they're talking about. And it was a great insult.
That's great. You look like Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah.
Trailer Park Boys is a massive hit though. But Letterkenny, so it's the same kind. It has like certain similarities where it's like a mockumentary style, and it follows around like these people living in a small town in Canada, right? But dude, it's like, I mean, I don't know, it's so funny, but then it's so badass at the same time. Like the music in it's killer, you know what I mean? And like the acting and the slang. Also, I believe, isn't there a new Mighty Ducks coming out? Right?
I had no idea. Is there?
I believe there is. It's going to be a TV show on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay. Is Emilio in it or what? Come on, man.
I don't know, but I think the blonde hockey guy from Letterkenny.
Yes.
I think he's the coach, if I'm correct. I might be wrong.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, okay, so so this is a movie. This probably came out, gosh, maybe 10 years ago. But there's a movie, Sean William Scott, and it's called Goon. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a great one.
Classic movie.
Yeah.
Classic. Him and Liev Schreiber.
Yes.
Classic movie. Classic.
That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
So,
tune in, people.
Yeah.
I don't know where to find that one. Let me look it up real quick. It's always good to tell people where to locate these movies and shows.
Where to locate. Also, a little feedback from last week's Pop-In. I spoke about the book, The Gray Bastard, part of the Lotland series, right? And didn't hear anything back from any of our listeners, so go fuck yourselves. Thanks. Still have no one to talk to about it. But I did talk to someone about it, and it happened to be the author of the gosh damn book.
How about that? Yeah, I saw. You guys had a little dalliance.
Dude, I've talked to him a bunch, actually. That would be, well, I will say a bunch. That'll be the third interaction we've had on the Twitter. And the first one was under my personal Twitsky. And then the last two have been under the Working Pod Twitsky. So he's really like, how cool is that? Like, he's probably he has a big following and stuff. Like, the books are really popular. And he takes time to like, I'll always ask him questions about like, who would he cast as characters? And he's cool enough to placate me and like, talk with me about it and stuff like that. So he's just like, and I know they're not massive hits yet, but like, as far as like a guy, like I like taking a cue from his book where it's like, he's like a struggling, I don't think he's struggling because I think his books did very well, but he still like interacts with his fans. And I think that's fucking awesome. So
absolutely.
Either way, talk to him about it and, just had a little chat with him and sent him our episode where I praised the shit out of his book. And one of his responses was, he was like, you know, I usually, he said, he's like, look, I don't listen to people critique my work, either good or otherwise, you know, and I was like, ooh, that's probably a good idea. And he said, he's like, I'm not going to listen to it, but if it's nice, thank you. And if it's bad, then pick an explicit and, you know, use that to go whatever you say. You know? And I was like, all right, I like this guy. But okay, so for me, for my recommendation, I'm going to throw another book series out there that I've got a few people hooked on this. Now, Shake, I've explained this to you, but you're too much of an intellectual to get into some deep fantasy or deep fiction, I would say. You're too much of an intellectual. You're too much of a Stephen King, Stephen Hawking books kind of, Christopher Reeves kind of guy. You know, you don't have time for imagination and fun. But so these books, right? It's a book series, and I listened to these ones like a bunch. I pirated them at first before I even had Audible. Then I got Audible, and I was like, I need every single one of these. And these, I've gone through this series multiple times, right? And this is another series, right, that if picked up and done correctly, we're talking like Walking Dead level of like huge, right? These book series will be massive. All right. And here's the time frame, right? Or here's how it is. So it's okay. So the book series itself is called The Demon Cycle by Peter V. Brett, right? And the way it is that imagine the world kind of ends. Well, it doesn't end. So it's 300 where it takes place is 300 years after what's called the return, right? So imagine our society right now where we are, and then all of a sudden, as soon as the sun goes down at night, these demons come up from the ground, and all the demons are kind of where they're geologically, like where they come out of, that's the kind of demon they are. So say if you come out in the forest, you're a wood demon, right? Say if you come out in the mountains, you're a rock demon, right? Say you come out
I'd like to be a
desert,
Chipotle demon.
Yeah, well, you already are. So either way, right? The demons only come out at night, right? So as soon as the sun goes down, the demons come up, right? And the humans don't have any protection from the demons except for what are called wards, which are like, it's like Chinese glyphs. Like say, you know, imagine this is where you lived, where you had to put like Chinese glyphs around your doorway and around like the front of your house so that the demons couldn't come in, right? But every night, as soon as the sun goes down, you have massive demons that are like, these demons are huge, right? You have these massive demons coming, shaking your tree and rattling your tree and testing your wards, because if there's one little crack, they're coming in, you have no defense against them, and they'll just obliterate you and your whole family. So like you could go to bed one night, right? And see, like, say if we were neighbors, I'd be like, all right, Tom, night, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow, pal. We'll play some stickball, you know, go to bed. That night, one of your wards next to your back door got a little smudge on it from some dirt or something like that. That ward doesn't work. Fire demon, wood demon comes in your house. Your whole family is obliterated. Your house is on fire, right? And your fire catches next to my house, right? Then my house goes up. So now we're running in the middle of the night, just trying to find a place, you know, maybe like a lot of them had farms where the fence on the farm, they would put something there so they would keep the livestock in there. So you're running to try to get in with the livestock before a fire demon or a wood demon get you.
Holy smokes.
Or the fire itself. Yeah. So that's where they lived. Like that's their daily life, right? So their daily life is like trying to survive, like working on a farm and things like that. But then it's also like, you got to make sure your wards are right. You got to make sure, right? And then there's another thing is that, so in this society, like the way the cities are built, right, is that a city is a fort, right? So the forts, all the cities are walled in, and they all have the wards on them to protect them from the demons and all those things, right? So like a mass populated area, there's a lot of wards and a lot of warders and things like that, right? But they still like have to be in at night and stuff. So like the smaller towns, it's more like it goes by house, right? So the toughest job to have in this realm is a messenger, right? So if you're a messenger, could you imagine, like, okay, so I'm in Philadelphia. Imagine if I had to go to New York, right? So
Mhm.
even like, and this is back when you're riding on a horse and you're like, riding a horse to these different places. So at night you have to make a fence, like a wood, like a circle with like rope and wood, and hopefully your wards are right. And you have to sit in this circle in the middle of like the woods or the fields or whatever. And these demons that are massive, like 15 feet tall, coming up like banging on your wards, trying to get in while you're trying to get some sleep. And try and imagine that like freaking like 4 nights in a row.
You said they come up and bang on your words. So are these things like made out of? You said it's like back in horse days. Like there was no cars or anything going on.
Exactly. Yeah. So all of that had been destroyed, right?
So, like, are they allowed to touch it or?
So they're allowed. So the way it is, right? Say if you were in a house, right, and you put the wards on your house. The way the demons live in the core of the planet, right? So they live in the core, and when the sun goes down, they come up from the core, and like they're able to like mist, and they come up as like a cloud, and then they form into like something like like a solid being as soon as they come up, right? And then there's like the wards create like an invisible force field, like an invisible shield, right? When they hit it, So when like humans can obviously walk through it, it's fine whenever, but just these demons can't get through these force fields, right?
Very nice.
So yeah, so if you're a messenger traveling from town to town, you have what's called a warded circle, and you put your circle out every night, and you're just like sitting there with your horse, hoping that the horse doesn't get scared and run away with the circle, because then you're dead. So messengers go from like city to city and town to town delivering mail and things like that. So it's like one of the most dangerous jobs to have, right?
That's wild shit, man.
Yeah. So, and like, the way the fighting is like a lot of the people are just kind of cowed by these demons and just kind of they're trying to survive and live in these minuscule lives. But then there's a whole culture, right? That it's like a warrior culture that's dedicated to every night they fight the demons. And what they do is that they have like the men who are warriors are like treated like, like the best, like they get all the women, all the food, like all the everything, right? But every night those men, like they go to war with the demons, so they could potentially die, right? Yeah. So it's big for them to get like, so like it's kind of like, so that culture is there, but that's in like the desert. And then there's like this place like Lake Town that's on this massive lake. Then there's this place in the mountains, and there's this place in the woods. Like there's all these major forts, and there's like a bunch of little towns, and revolves around different point of view characters and like their story through the book. And it's
really something.
Yeah, I'm telling. Like, imagine this is a movie. Like the first scene of the book, a kid is like fighting for his life and his family because their wards get messed up. Like that's the first chapter.
Isn't there like a whole network or like a company that just makes sure your wards are ship shape?
So they would have warders, but it's not like they have a printing press, right? It's not like they have a printing machine. Everything's done by hand. Right, they have like some printing machine things, but they don't have like a ward crafting.
It sounds like a miserable experience for these people.
Like make wards. Oh yeah, and look, and also like when you first read the book, all they have are defensive wards. There's no attacking wards. Like they don't have a ward that you could put on a spear and kill a demon with. You know what I mean? So like they're literally like the only thing they can do is they can trick a demon into falling into a hole, and then like put wards around the hole, and then when the sun comes up, the sun will kill the demon. That's all they have. Yeah.
Okay, and this is called the Demon Cycle series.
The Demon Cycle series. The first book is called The Warded Man.
The Warded Man, and who's the author? What's his name?
Peter V. Burnett.
Peter V. Burnett. Okay.
So it's Peter and then V and then Brett. So
yeah, and you of course recommend the audio book of it. You're a big proponent of the audiobooks, and we were tipped off by somebody. If those of you out there are not into the whole Audible thing, there is an app called Hoopla, Hoopla, that apparently has free audiobooks. I think it like hooks in with local libraries.
Who gave us that recommendation?
Someone who usually gives really bad recommend. No, my
Sounds
older
like
brother
real
Kevin.
Schlep. Sounds
Older
like
brother
a real
Kevin.
schlep.
A real
He's
schlepper.
a good guy. He's a good guy. That Kev.
He's a good guy,
okay.
but he's a real schlep.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Shake, looks like we're coming to the top of time of the old Popski.
Yes, sir.
All right, so this has been another rousing rendition of the Weekend Perspective or the Working Perspectives podcast Weekend Pop-ins. As always, I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by my editor and producer and my good buddy Tom Byers. You can find us on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can find us on Spotify at the Working Perspectives Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Working P Pod, and if you'd like to be a guest on the show, hit us up at workingperspectives@gmail.com. Shake Diggity, anything you want to say to the people before we roll out?
Yeah, I'm driving up north on the coast of California this weekend, heading to Monterey, and then I'm gonna double back and go to Santa Barbara. So tune in on our Instagram, and I'll have some beautiful, footage.
Oh, can't wait, man.
Maybe get some shots of our official mascot Penny in some new environs.
Nice.
Tune in.
Awesome, man.
The losers.
Dude, I hope you have a great time.
I bet I will.
All right, perfect. So, that was the Weekend Pop-ins. That's it for us. Thanks for listening, and stick around for the ad read.
Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott & Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott & Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott & Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.S as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott & Bell Publishing, where the authors go.